What's up, everyone? It's Wacko. Welcome you to another draft recap. This time we are playing in PWO. Um, I haven't played here in probably 3.5 years. It's been since Gen 8, that's for sure, and Gen 8 was pretty much almost 3 years ago. So yeah, it's nice to be back. Um, this season they're doing low tier, and I mostly came back because they finally started. Well, for this season they're doing points. I would assume they'll probably go back to tiers once they do like normal again. Um, and I don't really vibe too much with tiers. Like, sure, there's always like some things you could abuse or like something, but I don't know. Like, if I'm looking for something and I have to pick from one tier, and then there's just nothing in that tier, but there's like a tier or something that's like higher up that I could have gotten in points otherwise, like, I just don't really like that. So once you go to points, like, it's hard to go back to tiers. Um, but yeah, I haven't played there since I think season 8, which we had a pretty good run. I don't think it was on YouTube, but I definitely have a season from PWO on YouTube. They used to be called WPF, but then they rebranded, I think, to not be confused with the other WPF that's like really big. Um, yeah. Again, this season is low tier and it is points. We had a budget of 115. I believe I was like 10th or 11th in draft order, and there was 14 coaches. So I didn't really care what got to me, but I did notice that people were picking up fairies like round 1, and I was getting a bit nervous because if you don't get like one of the fairies in low tier and like you're the last one to pick a fairy, like you're not gonna get a good one. So my first pick was Hatterene. I really wanted to try Primarina. I really wanted to use Fezandipity. Fez wouldn't have been my round 1 pick, it would have been round 2. But they left Hat there, and I'm like, you know what? I've always wanted to use Hatterene. I was always kind of strayed away from it because I kind of thought it was like a worse Diancie. If I was to tear them. Oh yeah, tear is banned, by the way. So it is just gonna be Psychic Fairy Hatterene. However, I had an idea because they actually had unbanned quite a few megas, and they allowed some like middle-ish high tiers in. I want to say like the top tiers like Volcanion. Don't usually see Volcanion in low tier, but Volcanion was probably like the best mon there. Which I don't even think anyone drafted it. Unless I'm wrong and someone picked it up later, but yeah, Hatterene was sitting there though, and I'm like, well, the 2 other fairies I wanted got taken like before it even got to me, so I figured I'd just pick up Hatterene. It is nice, and I had an idea with it. It has a decent typing Psychic Fairy. You usually want your fairy type to resist dark, but I wasn't super worried about that. I figured I'd be able to grab some other like knockoff resist later, or just like a dark resist in general. Hatterene has decent bulk with the 57 HP isn't great, but it has good special attack and also Draining Kiss. So it kind of works in its favor, and it has 95 defense, 103 special defense, which isn't great, but I think for low tier it's probably decent enough. And with that high special attack set, I have a feeling it'll be able to tank a few hits. Usually, the problem I see with Hatterene is it kind of gets 2-shot by a lot of things. And especially without Terra, like, it doesn't have that, I'm going to switch my defensive type and wall a lot longer, but I think in low tier, Hatterene's still going to be pretty good. And I'm excited to use it. Also has pretty low speed, and it gets like Trick Room support. Magic Bounce is awesome because it kind of acts as like anti-hazard setup or like removal in a way, which is good because it pairs well with my second pick, which will be Mega Beedrill. It will be Mega Beedrill. So yeah, this was one of the megas that they kind of unleashed into low tier, and I was thinking, like, there's not a lot of good steel types in low tier, There, most of the steel types are like good enough, but some people are gonna have to like really dig down and get some like not so great steals to wall Mega Beedrill. So I thought this was the perfect opportunity to use it, and I also thought it kind of paired well with Hatterene, because if no one is, if everyone's kind of scared to like click Stealth Rock and a Hatterene, then Mega Beedrill doesn't really have to worry about hazards in theory. It also gets Defog itself if I like feel like I have to run it. I feel like I've ran Defog Mega Beedrill before because I didn't need like a 4th slot. But yeah, Adaptability U-Turn or like X-Scissor plus Poison Jab is just really strong. It even has coverage for those steel types with Drill Run. Also gets Knockoff, Sword Stance, so it can definitely sweep. It is also, I think, one of the fastest mons in low tier. Well, even in general, it's like just one of the fastest mons. Mega Sceptile is also allowed, but I don't know if that got picked up. It might have. But yeah, I would speed tie that, and 150 attack is just really strong. And Bug Poison being pretty bad offensively, like, Adaptability really helps it get that damage. So next up I got Sandy Cox. This is a mon I've never used, actually. Same with Hatterene. I have used Mega Beedrill before, but yeah, Sandy Shocks is new to me. There's definitely been a couple times where I considered picking it up, but then just kind of didn't. I'm not the biggest fan of this mon, but it was there, and I figured I would pick up a Special Ground because a lot of the mons I was looking at were physical. I really wanted to get Crook, but if I got Crook, then the speed tier that I'd have to get between like Beedrill and Crook would have also been like a physical attacker like Virizion, and I wasn't, well, I guess not Virizion specifically. I know there's some other mons that like I felt like needed to fill that speed gap, and I was like, you know what, I'll just get Sandy Shocks, and that kind of leaves me open for like another mon that fills that gap later on that I thought kind of fit better and at least made the draft easier. I guess that was the point. I just wanted to make this draft like as simple as possible, in terms of like not having to worry about rolls, not going like too top heavy with like physical attackers or special attackers. So I grabbed Sandy Shocks. It gets screens, it gets both rocks and spikes. 101 speed is just fast enough to outspeed a lot of big threats. 121 special attack isn't great, but I think for low tier it's probably good enough, and Electric Ground is pretty good coverage. It also gets like Power Gem, if you ever need Power Gem. I guess for like Kilowattrel, because Kilowattrel can't really touch this thing, so yeah. 4th round I end up picking up Iron Jugulus, and also admire this art. Like, this is beautiful. I was looking at like its face, like you can kind of see like the scales, even though it's like a robot. I just think it's really cool looking, and I always like the pink like fluid like stuff around it too. I've always liked Iron Jugulus, and it's not a Whack-A-Draft if I don't have a Dark Flying type, right? Could have been Bombardier. I picked up Bombardier in SDS and then dropped it week 4. But yeah, Iron Jugulus was there round 4. This was the mon I was talking about that kind of filled that last bit of speed gap. I think for low tier, 108 to 145 isn't bad. I don't have to worry about Gren, I don't have to worry about like Torrentee, I don't have to worry about Meowscarada, don't have to worry about Weavile, Darkrai. So I don't, there's a lot of threats I just don't have to worry about. And the things that are faster than Jugulus still at least have to run Timid or Jolly. It has decent stats. 94 HP is pretty bulky. 80 attack is usable because it has that knockoff and U-turn. Defense 86, special defense 80, 122 special attack, 108 speed. So it just has good stats, and it has a lot of moves offensively, just a lot of good coverage. It also gets Meteor Beam, and if I wanted to, I could use Sandy Shocks to set up Electric Chain for this thing so I could get like the Quark Drive boost, because I believe terrain and weather setting moves aren't banned, and I don't think terrain extender and weather rocks are banned. Unfortunately, Sandy Shocks doesn't get like Rain Dance, because I would totally run like electric terrain into like Rain Dance and then just switch into Jug and start spamming like Specs Hurricane. But yeah, it doesn't get that, unfortunately. Still a good mon though. I've always wanted to use Jugulis. I think it's a little bit underrated, and I hope that it will do some work, because if Sandy Shocks and Jugulis don't do work, I will be picking up that Crocodile that's like still on the board for some reason. Next up we have Blastoise. Now in low tier, usually Shell Smash is banned, and that is the case here. There was no but. Shell Smash is just banned. So I can't use Smash Toys, but I kind of think that's cope anyways. I think Blastoise, its best role is to just be a tanky mon. And even though some of my mons that I've already drafted are tanky-ish, it's just nice to have like a more dedicated wall. And also have like a nice rapid spinner. Because I feel like Magic Bounce, like, it kind of deters hazards, but sometimes people still get up hazards anyways, and like you can't just switch in Hatterene on like everything. So having Rapid Spin is very nice, and having Spin, especially if I'm like hazard stacking with the Sandy Shocks, is also very nice. Has good mixed bulk. Its attack sets are not awesome, but for the most part, Blastoise is just pivoting and spinning, and that's kind of all it has to do. And it was kind of the start of my defensive core here. Next up, I grabbed Caparaja. I thought I was gonna get a different steel in the low tiers, but I ended up getting sniped from Alolan Marowak, which I wanted because I wanted like Alolan Marowak and Trick Room. But that got taken, and it allowed me to upgrade my steel type. My steel type was gonna be Kling Kling or Berserker. But I was able to get Caparaja, and I haven't used Caparaja in quite a long time. It has really good coverage, two really awesome abilities. It's usually going to be heavier than everything anyways, but if I need the extra damage on like some like other somewhat heavy mon, Heavy Metal will definitely help me a lot. It gets both Heavy Slam and Heat Crash. So it's really good coverage that's also just really strong off that 130 attack stat. It has really high HP, and actually, like, 69 defense isn't great, but if you invest in it, like, it can get really tanky. I've seen AV Caparaja just not care about anything being thrown at it, and it's still killing things back. So yeah, I'm really excited to use it. It has lots of good coverage. It also gets Stealth Rock if I don't want to run rocks on like Sandy Shocks. Cool mon. Loved it. Now next up, I had to get this mon. I haven't used Chestnut in years. Especially not in Gen 9. I've not used Chestnut. I've gotten close to using it, but then I'm like, it's just a little bit too weak, and a little bit like its typing is just awful. So I figured in low tier, it was kind of my opportunity to finally use it again, especially before it gets a Mega Evolution. I cannot wait for Mega Chestnut. I will be spamming that in draft as long as it is not garbage. Also, this is off-center a little bit, but it's fine. I use the shiny sprite. The lips kind of, I don't like that about its artwork, like its mouth. It's kind of hard to notice when it isn't shiny, but I like the shiny colors just so much. One of my favorite shinies for sure. Bulletproof is a good ability. Can kind of eat those Shadow Balls that are going towards Hatterene, especially if Jugulis is like a offensive mon in that specific week. And I don't have a normal type yet, so having a Shadow Ball resist, thumbs up. 107 attack isn't awful. Its bulk is awesome. 88 HP. It has the same HP as the Loyal 3 and Pechacunt. So you can kind of consider Chestnut as part of the Loyal 3. I'm just kidding. Special defense, decent. You can invest in it pretty well, but for the most part, it's going to be like a Helmet Mon. Blastoise could also be like an Assault Vest Mon, especially if I can't smash with Blastoise. Like Blastoise might as well run like AV, and I have Capraja. So I figured Toys plus Capraja plus Chestnut really kind of enclosed this defensive core, and I like it. Also, Chestnut gets spikes as well. A lot of hazards on this team. I didn't actually realize until just now. But yeah, so I used most of my budget at this point, and we do actually need 10 Mons. I only have 7 right now, and I have about 6 points left. So I was looking through the 1-pointers and seeing what I could pick up, and I saw Unpheasant there. I think Unpheasant for 1 point is pretty heinous. I've kind of thought this Mon is pretty good. Well, it's not a good Mon, but it's for 1 point. Like, I'd much rather use Unpheasant than like Bidoof. It has decent stats. 80 in HP and defense is okay. It can take a hit. 55 special defense isn't great. It's probably gonna die to like most like T-Bolt's Ice Beams anyways. 93 speed, I think in low tier is decent, especially with the way everyone else drafted. People in PWO love to draft like really fat. So Unpheasant's gonna outspeed a lot of Mons. It gets super luck, so if I get really lucky, I could run like a scope lens set with Brave Bird. It also gets like Night Slash. Does it get normal slash? I don't know. But it has strong moves off that 115 attack step. Like, it's gonna be doing some damage if I bring Unpheasant. And then the cool thing about Unpheasant is like it's a bit different from what Jugulis does, because Jugulis is like one of those weird special attackers where like it doesn't really act like a flying type, although it gets Hurricane, like it's offensively a flying type, but it's not like a traditional flying, and I think Unpheasant just kind of helps me like visually. I don't know. It's more of like a visual thing where it like kind of gaps that like flying type roll, even though it's not gonna be clicking defog or anything. It'll be a spin Blastoise like every week, but I think just having like Brave Bird specifically, it's more because it has like Brave Bird and I can actually click it without like missing. So it just has strong flying stab, and I think that's awesome for low tier. Next up, I picked up my other 1-pointer. I picked up Maractus, and yeah, I already have. Those are not its abilities. I believe is it Storm Drain? Doesn't it have Storm Drain, Water Absorb, and Chlorophyll? Anyways. Just gonna... Really? I definitely forgot to fix that. But yeah, I picked up Maractus. This Mon is not good, and I already have a Grass type with Chestnut, especially one that has Spiky Shield and Spikes specifically. But the thing I liked about Maractus is actually Chlorophyll. I thought for 1 point, I've seen Maractus put in a lot of work. If it can take a hit, it could use Sunny Day. Potentially, it could use Growth. I could use Sandy Shocks. Excuse me, I could use Sandy Shocks to set up Sunny Day too, potentially. And in that case, Maractus could do work, and my idea behind Maractus is that there's not a lot of good dragons in low tier because most of the dragons are higher tier. And other than fire, dragon is like the only thing that really switches in on like grass fire coverage. That Solar Beam and Sun Boosted Weather Ball. 106 special attack isn't bad. So I actually think Maractus kind of cooks. I probably won't end up using it as much as I would like to, because I do have Chestnut, but I think in a scenario where I think Maractus has a good offensive matchup, I could use Chestnut and Maractus, and Chestnut, it could be dedicated more to being like a tank, and Maractus can be more offensive, and I think that's very cool. And that is Maractus. Last Mon, Karkle. I don't know why, but I've just noticed this, but like, what is this like black line around its lips? That looks so weird. I don't really like Karkle's design, to be honest, but it's a really good Mon. Arguably, in some instances, this thing can be better than Colossal, which I think is funny. Its stats are actually really solid for a middle stage evolution. So it has that Rock Fire type, and I think Rock Fire is underrated as a defensive type. It has a lot of resistances like Flying, Fire, Fairy. So it can tank those Mons, normal especially. So like, I think someone has like Staraptor. Actually, was Staraptor even allowed? I think Swellow is though, and like this thing can definitely eat Swellow for breakfast. And then for a rock type that's like physically defensive, its special defense is also really good. 50 speed isn't great, but you kind of have to take that deficit somewhere. 60 in both offenses also isn't great, but I think a lot of the Mons that it matches well up against are pretty frail anyways, so its attack sets don't really matter that much. Also gets Rapid Spin. It's a secondary spinner, which I kind of wanted for Blastoise, even though... well, no, I could run like offensive Blastoise sets if I can use Karkle. Doesn't Blastoise get Water Spout? Or does it get Water Spout? I actually don't remember. But yeah, Karkle's pretty bulky and like it's usable for an NFE. Good bulk. Steam Engine, Flame Body, Flash Fire. Kind of also helps to round out my defensive core, and it can punish some other physical attackers. Again, especially those flying types, because Toys and Raj, like, they're not really wanting to like stand on flying types, and Sandy Shocks might get chipped down. So in a situation where I need to use Karkle, there we go. And here's like the family little portrait. I kind of wish Unpheasant had like a flying sprite more than like a grounded sprite, because I could have used like that space, but they look like a nice little family. Hatterene and Blastoise are like holding hands. That wasn't like intentional, but I kind of put Hatterene away from everyone else because it kind of like that lone wolf Pokemon. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this draft recap. The season's going to be very long. It's going to be about 13 weeks for main season. Full round robin where everyone faces everybody. So at some point, I'm sure everyone will get their chance to shine. Again, long season. It will literally, like, the main season will literally be going on until 2026. But I'm kind of excited about that, so hopefully I enjoy my team, because I believe we only get, like, 3 trades. And again, if Sandy Cox and Chug Jug fail me, then I got Crook, and I will be picking that up. And yeah, see you guys next time.